Well, here's the classic symptom of Fusarium wilt, is the yellowing leaves, and they get even brighter yellow, and then they'll start to brown a little and wither up and die completely. And another symptom that's pretty classic is when there's yellow leaves on just one side of the tomato plant, and that was what was going on here. I cut a couple off because I guess I was kind of in denial about it. But then I got to thinking and did some reading. I've never really had trouble with it before, so I'm a little inexperienced. I read until my eyes started to roll back in my head, but anyway, if you see yellowing on the lower part of your tomato plant or on just one side of it, that's something to suspect. I've got it here. It's on the same side of the tomato plant, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And if you let it go, it'll also start to affect the stem, and it'll start getting brown spots on it. But now I'll show you what I'm going to do with this one. And here's how I'm going to handle this situation. It goes straight in the trash. I wouldn't even consider putting this in a compost pile. I've had some people say it can get hot enough in a compost pile to get rid of diseases, but that one plant won't produce enough compost for me to take a chance, so it's going in the trash and it's leaving in a couple of days. And this is where the plant was. I'm going to cover that with some wood chips so none of that will be blown around. But one thing about it is it can stay in the soil for years. So this is going to be a no-grow zone for anything that can get it. Well, for the next 4 or 5 years at least. So I have to make a mental note, mark the area maybe with something so I don't forget. Probably the number one thing you can do to keep from getting it is to grow varieties that are resistant to it. And there are a lot of tomato varieties that are resistant to it. Most of the hybrids really are, and there are probably even a few heirlooms that are. When you grow heirlooms like I do, you're just going to get more disease, and that's just the way it works. Some of the heirlooms just aren't resistant to as many diseases, so you have to really be on top of it, or I think you should. Another thing I think is important, if you happen to get it, is you can see this stake here, it's got dirt on it. It was right beside the cage and down in the soil where the disease would be. So I'm going to have to wash that off really good, along with the pruners that I used to cut the tomato vine down. The cage was in contact with soil. I'm going to wash all of these with a hard stream of water, and then I'm going to put on some gloves and wipe it down with some bleach the best I can. As a matter of fact, I'll just wipe down the whole cage. So that's my game plan for that, disinfect the best I can. And cleaning your stakes and cages at the end of the season, give them a good washing is not a bad idea, regardless of whether you have disease or not, just as a preventative measure. But here we are on August 6th. That's just part of gardening. But there, you know, if you just stay on top of it and don't let things get out of control, I think that's probably pretty important. I've heard of cases where people have, you know, half a dozen or a dozen plants with it. Just if you see it, do something sooner rather than later. That's just my opinion, not that I'm an expert or anything. But hopefully things are going well in your garden. They're going pretty well here.